Can't.
Something is happening, Mohammed. Let's see.
Something's happening now. Yeah.
Still can't see me.
No. Just keeps on
I
going
think
back.
what you were doing now, it looks like it was, yeah.
It doesn't see me.
No, we can't, but it shows that your camera is active. Okay, I'm gonna ask you to start again.
Is that this is not, I think it's running off of this. But the camera's open. Yeah, it is open, the light is on. And if you pull this way, it's not sorry, I don't want to see. No, there's no thing.
There we go.
There we go. Eureka.
Okay. So I actually have to face that way.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, now we see you facing head on.
Perfect.
No, good man. We're on just 11:02. So what, Mohammed, we'll just give it a minute for people to stream in. I think Mirinda is going to manage the platform in the background, but I think we had 35, 40 people confirm.
Yeah, about 45. Yeah, I'm just gonna also just share the link as well, in the groups, Craig.
Yeah, so we got quite a nice big audience, Mohammed. So I'll give it a minute and then do the formal introduction and some housekeeping. We'll take it from there.
Perfect. I may move halfway during the session to a boardroom, so I'll just get up and walk. Yeah?
No problem. Let's give it a minute or so. And then we can kick.
Hello.
People are streaming in. Okay. All right. I think we're happy to start. I think it's 3 minutes past 11.
Yeah, Tatya, I think people are still joining in, but it should be fine. Sorry, Craig. I'll put a reminder, but yeah.
Yeah, as people come through. Okay, Shem, let's start. Just mindful of everybody's time and being a Friday. So let's go for it. So just to start the session, and we'll just Marina just let people come through the sides now. But just on behalf of Sigma International and of course all the incubators, just a warm welcome this Friday morning. And today is a real exciting fireside chat where I'm going to introduce Mohamed Baba, the founder of Elios Travel. And we kind of put a little title together, Miles or Smiles, and sort of navigating the journey, the entrepreneur's path in tourism transport. So I've known Mohamed for many years. Well, I don't know if Mohamed's known me for many years, but we were very much involved in the transport business. But Mohamed's got an incredible story how he started, and this program is all about entrepreneurship. So we use the word incubatees, but I prefer the word entrepreneurs. Startup companies. We've got a mixture of emerging businesses, established businesses, but obviously on the SATS incubator, we have some Anglo-American guys, the Anglo-American incubators. So Mohammed, we've got about 2-3 incubators on this program. And what we do these virtual couch sessions where we do quite a bit of training and so forth. And every now and then we invite somebody to come across and do a fireside chat like yourself, just to introduce yourself and just talk about your journey, particularly with Elios Travel or your journey in the tourism, transport in the tourism sector and that. So before I formally hand over to Mohammed and take it from there, just some housekeeping so we can keep all the microphones off. I know Mirinda will manage that in the background. If you guys have got any sort of questions for Mohammed, let's just have the chat, and then at the end, just pop the questions into the chat box. I will then raise the questions, Mohammed, at the end. But then they feel free, Mohammed, if you want it very interactive. If anybody wants to ask line question going through, but I think just to keep, because it's a big audience, just to manage the flow, pop the questions one side. At the end, we'll raise the questions, Mohammed, and we'll take it from there. So without further ado, I just want to say, Mohamed, Baba, thank you very much for joining us. We really, it's a privilege and an honor to have you. Everybody knows knows the creation of your brand, I hope, and if they don't, I'm sure they would find out. But really, the focus is on, and within this audience, we have a lot of guys who are tour operators, suppliers to the tourism industry, some wheel operators, and some tour operators, one or two couple of travel agencies, bed and breakfast guys own B&Bs. So it's a whole mix and match of tourism, both the core of tourism and also supported tourism. And then, of course, some colleagues from Sigma International. So, Mohamed, I'm going to hand over you. Just keep it. There's no formal presentation, so it's just merely just a fireside chat, and we take it from there. So, thank you very much for joining us this Friday morning.
Thank you, Craig. It's a pleasure to be part of the session this morning. Honored to have the opportunity to share a little bit about my journey, I guess. I guess I will say that I was lucky that I got started in tourism in the 90s. And I started in tourism in 1995, which was when South Africa really got onto the map from a tourism perspective. And I guess we started in the cultural tourism space. So we carved out a niche market to originally get involved in. And we built a business from there. We did 5 years in a partnership called Legend Tours. And then in 2000, I started a business on my own, which I then later rebranded as Ilios Travel and became a bit more mainstream. So I know that people will have questions, so I'm going to leave quite a bit of time for questions rather than tell a long story. Between 2000 and 2005, we became a bit more mainstream. So we scaled from Cape Town into Port Elizabeth, into Johannesburg, providing the DMC trade with touring and transfer product. From 2005, we then scaled more to 2010, where we then opened an operation in Durban, allowing us to have somewhat of a national footprint. And with this national footprint, we had the opportunity to start selling national product. So we start selling touring product throughout South Africa, which basically took you from Johannesburg into the Kruger, through Swaziland, into Durban, then into the Garden Route, along the Garden Route, and into Cape Town. That firmly put our business on the map from an international perspective, selling touring product to both international and local partners to see South Africa. From 2010, at that time, we had grown our business to probably at the size of about 80 vehicles countrywide. And we were sitting in excess of 100 employees. In 2013, we opened our first branch in the Kruger, which was in Hazyview. And in 2017, we opened an operation in Hoedspruit and Plettenberg Bay in the Garden Route, which gave us 7 branches across the country and made us the only wheels provider to the DMC and international trade that provided product and services throughout the country with a national footprint across all of these different branches and regions. I guess what was quite important for us following 2015 was to ensure that we improved the systems and capacity from a staffing perspective that the business had. So we placed a huge amount of emphasis over those years in terms of investing in technology and implementing a system in the business, which we did in 2020. And building the senior capacity that the business needed to support its growth. By the time COVID hit in 2020, we were operating a fleet of 140 and we had 255 full-time employees. So I guess that our business model was really that of a service provider and product owner that provided product to the DMC trade in South Africa, as well as international operators in various parts of the world. I'm going to end there and hand over to Craig to start questioning me a bit so that he can feed you with some information, and then we can open for some questions.
No, thanks, Mohamed. Thanks for that intro. So, yeah, so the point of this fireside chat session is really, Mohamed, to allow the audience to mine the knowledge, first of all, your knowledge. And you know, I think one point I need to make is that, you know, Mohamed did not start the business in 1995 and somebody handed him $1 million check and said, go for it. He started this from scratch. As a true entrepreneur, you know, really started his business from scratch and just built on and really worked at it. So, you know, we tend to see these big coach companies or big vehicle companies and say, wow, but, you know, they obviously had backings and all that kind of stuff. And in Mohamed's case, I'm right, Mohamed, there was no backing. You were the guy, you were the entrepreneur, you made it happen. And so the point of this session is really just to, and I'm sure the audience has lots of questions. How did you start? You know, how did you get your business? How did you get the vehicles? We won't even talk about vehicle permits. It's probably another discussion. But the whole idea of sharing Mohamed Baba's story with you is that as we're all on this entrepreneurial journey, Mohamed, being one of the senior guys in tourism and going through he also started this entrepreneur journey. And the hopefully is going through a program such as this, and that in the future, hopefully all of us, or, you know, there might be some gems amongst us who also have that growth path and tell their story 20, 30 years later. So really, this is a fireside chat of more of motivation, talking to somebody. You know, it's very easy for me to bring in all your big key CEOs from big companies and all that kind of stuff. And they're inspirational and they're great and all that kind of stuff. But as entrepreneurs, you want to hear, how did entrepreneurs do it? How did they start? And like I said, Mohamed, you did not 95, someone hand you a R1 million check and say, right, go for it. You started it right from the start, right from the beginning, from the road upwards. And that's really the opportunity as for guys to ask you those questions. You know, is it easy being an entrepreneur? Did you, I mean, you know, entrepreneurship is how many times did you fail? How many times did we work? How things worked in that? And that's kind of the journey. So really, today was really not like I said, not a presentation as such, more of a chat, and giving you the opportunity to meet the man Mohamed Baba, who was behind a very successful business, and what ingredients. And I think that's the point. You know, when you say mine the knowledge, we've got Mohamed here now. Ask him what ingredients did he use that made the success of his business? Was it hard work, or was it, you know, what was it? You know, and those are kind of things that you can hopefully apply, those principles or ingredients in your business. And you know, yes, it's very transport and product tourism thing, but sometimes these principles can, you know, even if you're running a bed and breakfast or you know, a soup kitchen or some kind of service, a lot of these principles can be used, because in every business, entrepreneurship, there's certain principles we can carry forward. So I've given, Mohamed, you've given your intro, I've kind of given the background, the whole thing. So I'm really going to open up to the audience now. And if you guys want to raise hands and ask those 9 questions or mine the knowledge, you know, ask Mohamed what you want to ask. This is an open session. We record the session, and purely we do that from a portfolio of evidence, but we keep it on the side. We don't share it with the world, so don't stress. It's really just sits on the side for you guys who need it to look at it later and that. But yeah, I'm going to open the floor and we'll just use the session, just ask questions and have a discussion. If anybody's got any questions, let me just check into the chat if anybody's raised any questions. Mohamed, before we kick off. Okay, so no questions have been raised in the chat. Does anybody want to just ask a question or raise their hand and ask Mohamed, use this opportunity?
Don't be afraid.
There must be someone who wants to. Don't know, Marinda, can we see anything popping up? Don't be scared. There's no, and no, remember, no question is a silly question. These, you know, we ask the question so it betters our position and our businesses or our goals in that going forward. I'm not too sure.
Manfrey here.
Manfrey, go for it, Manfrey.
Yeah.
Mohamed, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. I just wanted to maybe to clarify to us here. I've realized that most of the time, the problem that we face as small businesses is, you know, the talent, you know, acquiring the right and the right talent and also keeping the right talent? Because as you started expanding, it moved from one person skills now to multiple people within the business, some people trusting some people to do some work with you and be able to run other branches and so forth. How was the challenge of being able to acquire the right talent and also to keep them? Because you know, these people sometimes do leave from small businesses the minute they see a bigger opportunity from bigger business or bigger brands or bigger corporates. So how did you navigate that one so that you can be able to equip your different branches with the right skills that you knew will be able to run your business going forward?
So I think that attracting the right talent and the right people does take a lot of time. And I think that what happens in a business is that you get to a point where you need to appreciate and understand that as a small business, you need to take some strategic steps when you want to recruit the right talent. So you have to identify what your organization looks like or what your organization should look like, and then identify what are the key roles in your organization where you are going to have to attract the right talent to lead the rest of your team. So when attracting that right talent, it's always hard because you're competing with larger companies. So you have to either work really hard at training people to ensure that they make the necessary growth within your organization, or you need to make that decision that you're going to compete at the same level as a big business to employ people in key positions within your business. And the training component is a very important one in terms of how you train people to get to a particular level and then to retain them within your business. Because what is a big thing for small businesses is staff retention, to ensure that you're keeping staff for as long as you possibly can.
Perfect. Mohamed, I think there's an old saying in the transport business, and it's just an add-on thing, is you put the right people on the right bus in the right seat. But more to that is, and I think what you talk about is the DNA, is making sure that whatever your ethos of your business is, and what Mohamed is saying, is that if your business has a certain ethos, a certain principle within it, you want to employ people that fulfill their dreams. Obviously, it goes without saying, if you manage your staff, look after your staff, good your staff, you know, staff stay, but the training element is very, very important. So, Manfred, I hope that helps. I think I think the point here is finding the right people with the right heart and the right mindset and who want to be in your business, understanding the DNA of your business, and then of course the training and like Mohamed, I think in your case, Mohamed, a lot of training, a lot of dedication to get skill sets to where you want it. And not only the skill set helps the business, but it helps the individual within your business. Obviously sets them apart for the future. Is that fine, Manfred? Is that I'm sure covered your question there?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mohamed.
No problem.
Yeah, investing in your people is very key, and making sure that they're part of the journey is very important.
No, very much. And the training element is very important. It reminds me of a story, Mohamed, and while we're on the thing. So, and I'm going to share it. You've got a CEO and a CFO sitting down one day, putting budgets together. And the CFO says, listen, we need to spend a lot of money on staff for training. And the CEO goes, jeepers, hold on. If we train all these guys and then they leave us, what then? We spend all this money and leave us. And the CFO turns around and says, imagine we don't train them and they stay. So something to think about. So,
yeah,
that's very important.
That's a risk.
Train your staff. But if you don't train your staff, they're going to stay with you, and then you've got issues. Anyway, I think I saw another hand pop. I think there was a question that came through. This is from Stepanis. Hi, just what? Okay, sorry. This is Relebolechele. What motivated you to start, and how did you grow your business? So, what was your motivation to start, Mohamed?
So I started as a minibus taxi driver in 1993, and in 1995, South African Tourism gave our taxi association the opportunity to do a basic guiding course and to work at the waterfront during the Rugby World Cup. That was my tipping point that motivated me to get into tourism. And from that point on, we relentlessly pushed to grow our business. We started with 2 vehicles, and we consistently pushed to get more clients, push our product in order to grow.
Perfect. Mohamed, just another question now, just to check. Did you only focus on, I think you did mention it was transport and you did tours and that later, but initially, did you only focus on transport and then grew your brand from there?
So we started, so what was our claim to fame? I guess that we started with a niche touring product focusing on what was back then probably called township tours. So we offered a more culturally immersive experience to travelers, and more of the bigger operators started booking that product with us. And whilst that was what we did a lot in the formative years, we then gradually grew into mainstream, offering a more complete basket of touring and transport product now.
Perfect.
And I guess that...
Yeah, sorry, Mohamed, carry on.
And I guess that our business grew as South Africa expanded as a tourism destination.
Perfect. Here's an interesting question. This is one I'd like to know. While you were growing in your entrepreneur thing, how did you deal with the public transport industry, especially the taxi industry in your space? Maybe not as much in your time growing the business. Of course, at the moment, I guess there's a huge crossover taxi industry and tour operators at the moment of, infringing on one another's, I wouldn't say infringing one another's business, but probably more the taxi industry moving into the tourism space. Is that something you came across in your years of growing your transport business?
So it was never something that was an issue back when I got into tourism. I think it is more a recent issue where there's more of an issue with regards to the taxi industry trying to find an opportunity within tourism. Back when I got involved, it was never an issue at all. No.
Yeah, I think that's a debate and a discussion for another time, because that'd be quite interesting. Any other questions? Just trying to see. All right. Any other hands? Anybody would like to ask more questions? Well, we got Mohamed here. I'm sure there must be. Ruben, Helper, anything from your side? Any interest you may have? Well, we've got the guy for the next half an hour. Ask the question. Mine the knowledge. As we mine gold, mine the knowledge. Here's a fantastic opportunity to ask Mohamed any questions.
I think I'll ask a question. Did you ever go for coaching to grow your business?
So I think that learning is a big thing. So what I was quite fortunate to do was, in the early days, there was Tourism Enterprise Partnership, and they provided different mechanisms to help you grow your business. Initially, they provided certain support to emerging businesses, such as some market access, some marketing support. But then in about 2005, I said to them that what we needed was access to expertise. And they introduced something called the High Flyer Initiative Program. And they gave us access to specialists that was able to help us from a finance perspective in our business, to understand costing, to understand what worked in our business in terms of product, to understand what customers was making us money and what customers weren't. And then also to give us the access to industry understanding and industry knowledge. And that I did for 2 years, which was great help in order for me to refine our business at that time, to make sure that we had the foundation right. Another thing I did was with Iniatello, which was called a peer learning cooperative. And basically we were exposed to different people that could help us in different areas within our business. So of course, businesses are complex. There's various components that make it work, and it's important to learn. So mentorships are a very crucial part of learning within a business so that you get the necessary support to be able to grow and scale your business.
Thanks very much, because I think that's the method, is like lifelong learning.
Yes. And I guess that throughout your journey, you continue to grow and learn. And throughout your journey, you will learn new things. Having the benefit of learnerships and mentorship can significantly help you to improve your knowledge as to how to grow your business.
Excellent. Thanks, Mohamed. And you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, the Tourism Enterprise Program that you went through, you're part of, the programs that we run in with Sigma and SATSA and Anglo-American is very, very much based on the same principles, mentorship in different areas. And everybody here who's an entrepreneur is sitting and going through that same process that most entrepreneurs have gone through. So, Andre, great question. So it really just sharpens your business, sharpens your ideas by having these kind of discussions with people who've been through, who've run through the mill. It adds to it quickly. I see Percy put his hand up. Percy, anything you want to ask there?
Thank you, Greg, and good morning, everybody. I hope I'll be audible enough to be heard. For me, it's more of a comment than a question. A while back, just post-COVID, I come from one of the villages along the route to Sun City, from Johannesburg to Sun City. So I used to sit here. I remember this was way before I could join the tourism industry. And I used to sit there by my house, then looking at the street, actually, those toll cars passing, carrying passengers. And then the best one that I was always concentrating on was Mohamed's company. And I remember saying this to myself. I said, one day I want to see myself driving one of those cars. And it was just an inspiration to one thing actually to experience, and a beautiful thing to for one to have to see themselves joining the industry. And to cut the long story short, 5 years later, here I am. I'm into the industry of tourism, and it's such a privilege and honor to have you, sir, in as one of the mentors. Thank you so much. And I believe that I'll be getting much more information from you proceeding forward, even after the meeting as well. If possible, I would need to require your personal number so that anything that I need, I should come straight to you and ask you.
Thanks, Percy.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant, Percy. Thanks, Mohamed. You see, and it's amazing. So I think somebody else, amazing, Mohamed. So Mirinda, can we just mute there? Cool. So I think that I mean, isn't that a lovely story, Mohamed? He saw the vehicles drive around. Your business. I mean, particularly in transport, they become like moving billboards. Saw it years ago, thought of being part of it, is part of it, meets the man behind the business. Yeah, definitely, Mohamed. And Mohamed's always said, if there's any, particularly in the transport space, if anybody's really interested in having a chat afterwards or in business, it's something we can all set up and take it from there. Is there any other questions? Anything else to ask? Helper, I see you've now popped on.
Okay, yeah, no, thanks, Craig. Maybe I can just ask a question on behalf of my incubates because I've been
Helper, Mohamed, you got to be careful. This is Dr. Helper Zoo.
Okay.
The brains behind AI algorithms and that. So his question might be very, very, very complicated question.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm a dentist. So Mohamed, you mentioned one thing, I think, as you were talking, which of course caught my attention, around systems, like how you build this, and you had many branches. At what point in time did you realize that you need to automate certain processes and use systems to scale up your businesses and not always rely on manual support from humans?
So I guess that I realized it quite early in my journey. So the first system I implemented in our business was in 2004. In 2003, I developed a online booking system, which I implemented in 2004. And that system really allowed me to grow and scale our business nationally. It's what gave us the opportunity to have a central head office with all core functions sitting in one place, but to have branches across the country. So that piece of technology that we implemented in 2004 served us from 2004 all the way through to 2020. And it allowed us to scale our business from what was a business that had 10 vehicles to a business that had 140. And with a staffing complement of 255 across the country, was because we implemented technology early. And I know that people are often afraid to explore the journey in terms of technology, but we live in a world where it's not that difficult anymore to build a system and implement technology into your business. And it makes a huge difference in terms of automating processes within your business.
Thanks, Mohamed. I just want to do a follow-up and then maybe Craig can come in.
Sure.
You know, obviously I can't agree more. You as an experienced entrepreneur, you're on point. At least I know it from theory. So from the future now, that is such a brilliant, piece of foundation that we have. AI is here. I'm one of, a tech enthusiast. I mean, I do obviously quite a bit of coding, focusing on AI, and a lot of things are happening from large language models to predictive modeling, as an example. What do you think is the future of the tourism sector, given what AI is doing, the disruptive nature it is?
So I think that, of course, in many ways, we are going to see technology and AI fulfill certain functions within the tourism space. So, for example, in the space where we have a shortage of skills in the DMC space, such as tour consultants, I think that AI will play a role in terms of sorting inquiries so that we only deliver inquiries that will convert into bookings to tour consultants. In the space of the tourism transport sector, I think that it will be hard for AI to replace what personal interaction will always be. I think that people travel to engage with other people. And I think that that puts us in a position to know that AI won't be able to replace staffing in your transport and guiding sector.
Thank you, Mohamed. Yeah, I think so. I wasn't joking when I said Dr. Zhu is actually a PhD in coding and algorithms, and so he plays a very big part in that. And of course, as you say, AI is going to. But I absolutely agree with you. I think transport is a physical thing. It's it's drivers, it's vehicles, it's interaction. AI will do all the administration, the quotes, the confirmations, create churn in the business. But when it comes when it comes to the actual final product, being transport, moving people from A to B or touring, there will always be that human element in it. But you will streamline your business far better in the background, in the office environment. I've just got a couple of more questions, Mohamed. Okay, so yeah, the taxi, I should never mention the taxis now popped up, but somebody just said, yeah, I agree this matter needs debated. Taxi observation is that the taxis, tourism owners and drivers, routes, customers say it's more of a comment, okay, as a question, something to look at, but I think it's something that needs to be raised through SATSA levels and Department of Transport and such. Just one question, for your business to grow, did you invest very big into marketing? How much money did you put into marketing? What did you do with your marketing?
So I have always believed that tourism is a very relationship-driven industry. So I did spend quite a bit in terms of marketing, in terms of trade shows, in order to build relationships, in order to bring about brand awareness. But I guess a lot of our success was through relationships, through familiarization trips, in showing people what our country has to offer, and also in showing them the level of service we're able to provide. And then invest predominantly in trade shows that we are able to build relationships with. Now.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Mohamed. Yeah, so I mean, it comes that in tourism, it is the networking part is very important, and it's making sure those linkages that you understand the linkages in tourism and getting to know it.
Craig, maybe I can ask a question. It's Richard.
Go for it, Richard.
Yeah, Mohamed, thanks. It's very interesting. I just wanted to, this industry must have a lot of competition. How did you manage and handle the competition? What was your value proposition when you started? And did it change over the years?
So I guess that our value proposition was just that we endeavored to be the best at what we did. We ensured the best service delivery that we could. And through doing that, we were able to achieve continued growth over a long period of time. Because once we won a client, we were able to maintain that relationship and that client, and we would grow alongside all of our clients. So the model of preferred partnership was a big thing in our business in order to build solid partnerships. And by doing so, we could engage with our partners if ever there was an issue that needed to be corrected. So I think that it's so important that in the tourism space to value and appreciate partnership and how you build with your partners.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Just a follow-up question. So you've got so many buses and taxis running, you're almost a fleet manager. How do you manage the focus from, managing the fleet and focusing on the core operations?
So for a long time, our operations staff was also responsible for managing fleet. But we got to a point where it became important to separate them and manage them as two separate disciplines. So we have a fleet team that is responsible for the upkeep and management of fleet, and we've got an operations team that is responsible for service delivery. So the operations team, being responsible for service delivery, need to make sure that guest expectations are met and that we're delivering services accordingly. But the dedicated fleet team are there to make sure that we're always running a fleet that's in pristine condition.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Mohamed. Just a question from sorry, Ruben. Do you want to go for it? Then I've got 2 or 3 more questions. Go for it, Ruben.
No problem. Mohamed, if you could share with basically entrepreneurs the importance of passenger liability.
Sure. So I guess that it's important to ensure that you've got the necessary insurances in place to protect and cover your travelers that travels with you. So passenger liability has always been a very important thing and will remain to be a very important thing. So it's important that you have passenger liability insurance in place in the event of an accident or anything going wrong. So it's in the tourism industry a non-negotiable.
Thanks, Mohamed. Corsi, I see you've raised a question. Thanks, Ruben. Corsi, you want to put your speaker on? Maybe Miranda, if you can open Corsi's iPhone. Raising a question. Corsi, if you can,
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Yes. Oh, sorry, still morning. Yes, good morning. I have a question. Sometimes as a small business, we always toss around the idea of when do you capacitate your business, especially management, because sometimes as an owner, you manage most of the divisions, and then to have or to scale up your business, you need more divisions, more managers to take up certain roles, because you can't divide all those roles amongst yourself as a business owner. And obviously there's a lot that needs to get into that. How then do you know that it's the right time to do that and how to do it? Because I heard your story. It was a beautiful story, which I've been following as well. But then when you want to grow, there's always that part of you that is so scared that what if I fail? And what if I do this? So how then do you do that? Just maybe an advice around that part, because we're in.
Thank you, Kosi. I guess that everything has to be based on whether you are operating at a level where you're achieving the sales in the business to give you the revenue to be able to invest in capacity. Now, it's always hard as an entrepreneur because basically you have to do so much yourself until you get to a point where you start introducing capacity. But it has to be on the basis that the business can afford the capacity when you start implementing it. So, of course, it's always good to put your organizational structure or your desired organizational structure in place to say that this is the organogram that we are working towards. And as we achieve certain revenue milestones, we can afford to introduce more positions that this organogram requires. So you must have a scenario where you take a forward view and say that when our business is at the level of, let's say, revenue of X, we will have an organogram structure within the business. And as you achieve those milestones, you can then decide to bring in certain key roles that aligns with that, which also gives you the opportunity to train people as they come in and at the same time growing your sales to get to a point where you're able to introduce the capacity within your business.
Brilliant. Very well said, Mohamed. Fantastic. Spot on. I'm just trying to see more hands. Mohamed, here's an interesting question's come across, and I'm sure you have faced this before. I've seen that with business to this is from Pleasure, and she says, hi, Mohamed, seeing that we are in similar businesses, please advise and tell me how you manage to operate in case you were lacked. And I'm just trying to see. So I have a big challenge with outsourcing and hiring game drive vehicles, most especially whereby I have to hire them or outsource them from companies that consider me a serious competitor. So the question is, and I think within that, the question is, transport companies have to subcontract each other all the time. But of course, they're also competitors. So how do you find that balance? And I guess what Pleasure is trying to say is, where do you find that balance of sourcing too much business out or keeping most of it in? How did you manage subcontracts within your business to a point where you could manage it easily? And, because I think the fear is that every time you're subcontracting, they may possibly take your business or from there. I think it comes down to partnerships or who you're subcontracting.
So I guess that in my journey, we limited our subcontracting. We made sure that we always planned for growth. So as we forecasted for the year ahead, we would look at what capacity we need within our business to meet that demand. So we always looked at it ahead of time. So we said, okay, in the next year, we anticipate that we're going to grow by X percentage within our business. What does that mean from a fleet perspective? So we would acquire the fleet in advance that spoke to the growth that we would achieve within the business over a period of time. But of course, you're always going to have the requirement to outsource in peak periods. So I guess that what you want to do is to identify trusted partners where you are attributing some level of growth to their businesses to identify the right partners that you can trust so that you can always work and rely on them to be able to outsource to them.
Perfect. Thanks, Mohamed. Question from Andre. With the continual growth of social media, how is that affecting your business, and what marketing platform is now the best lead generator? In other words, what, within the transport space, tourists are on social media, what would you say is the best generator?
So basically, our business has been more of a B2B business rather than a B2C business. So it depends on what sector you play in. I guess we've seen organic growth in terms of inquiries coming through social media, but it's not a large aspect of our business. It's more been an organic process that has grown over the years. But of course, there's a lot more people relying on social media to grow their business. And that will continue to grow as tourism into SA grows.
No, perfect, Mohamed. And I think you've said it there, the difference of B2B and B2C. And maybe it gives me the opportunity just to remind people on the 7th and the 14th and 21 November, we'll be running 3 sessions on effective sales strategies and techniques, mastering marketing essentials, and understanding market trends in tourism. And all of that, what Mohamed's talking about, will be covered in there. The difference between, is your business in a B2B or B2C space, or a bit of both? How do we use drivers and triggers in those different markets to get business? So that's something we'll cover on the 7, 14, 21 November. So Mohamed just touched on it. So if the audience can make sure that they come through, and that's very, very important. Good question, and the response obviously is fantastic. Just a question, Mohamed. So this is from Makwena. Does an accommodation facility have to get accreditation or affiliation if they put together their own tour packages? So
accreditation, I think that if you so when an accommodation establishment starts to put together their own tour packages, then they're starting to add a component of a tour operating component to their business, or a DMC component to their business, because they are no longer just selling the accommodation establishment. They are now selling South or Southern Africa as a destination. And I guess if you do that, then you probably need to understand that that is a different business to your establishment, firstly. So you need to look at it as a separate business, and then to look at that business and whether that business needs to be affiliated to the correct associations in order to operate that business as best as possible.
Perfect. Thanks, Mohamed. Also spot on. Any other questions? I see there's no more questions in the little chat box. Anybody want to raise their hand, ask questions? We've got give it another 5 more minutes. Ruma said, mind the knowledge. Mohamed's here, I've got 5 more minutes, mind the knowledge. I think what Mohamed has shared with us is his journey, the little tips and all that going forward. And Mohamed, you don't mind we share this video, with the team that's here, if they want to reflect back on some conversation, some points that you made in that going forward. We'll do that. We keep it within our own circle here. Is there anybody else? I'm not too sure, Marinda. I can't see 2 screens because I can only see the 1 screen. But I'm sure nothing's popped up. No questions.
No, nothing. No.
We should have one more. There you go. Sean, go for it.
Sean, to me, yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I just want to find out what was the difficulties that he came across, and how did he manage to maneuver those difficulties? Because mainly we come across difficulties and we don't really know what is the best way forward.
I guess, Sean, you have to be a little bit specific there, because I think that as an entrepreneur, there are many difficulties. And I think that they are, from lack of access to finance, lack of access to market, lack of access to good employees, And I guess they are all different challenges that you will face within your business. The biggest one is that, in terms of growing a business, you must have access to the clients, and you must know that you are in a position where you've got a good flow of business coming in to be able to grow it and then go through every challenge as it arrives with you. But you're going to be faced with many, many challenges as an entrepreneur, and they will come at different times within your business. Make sense? Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. It makes sense.
Perfect. Percy, you've put your hand up again.
Yes, just a quick question to Mohamed. To the taxi industry, actually, the challenges that you did face when you were growing your business and the ones that we are still currently are facing, what are the possible measures that are applied or that are engaged in terms of them at the national level, knowing that we do exist? And then I think relevantly is to ask that what is the route that they need to know, or the education that needs to be applied to them for them to understand the way we do business, and then for them to understand, especially particularly on the permits that we do use, knowing that they are different from theirs. Because I'm asking this question because yesterday I faced a similar challenge. I'm from Rustenburg, so in Rustenburg, there's this guys for taxi patrols that always stopping these small 70-seater cars. I'm using one of the 7-seater cars, like your H1 Stereo and your Vitos and V classes and all that. So it seems like when they come to you and ask for a permit, and then you have to sit down, even if you show them the permit that you are using that is different, way too different from theirs in the taxi industry, it seems like they do not understand. Still, they will stop you from taking your load or from loading your passengers for you to take them to their different destinations, or to that designated destination that you have to take them to. So there is a big challenge that we are still facing, because they come to you and they say, who are you? Where are you from? Why are you taking people? Do you have a permit for that? Then you produce that permit, but still they do not understand what you are talking about. So there is still a big challenge from our side, actually, as small businesses in the tourism industry. Can you please clarify me on that one, so that in the association / cooperative where I come from, with the tour operators from Rustenburg and Northwest as well, I also need to engage with them, because we do have meetings from time to time with them, especially the ones that are in our area in Rustenburg, the taxi shuttles under the Santago Association, so that I can pose the same question to them, or maybe try to give them light in terms of knowing that the permits that we do use that are two different things. Thank you.
So I think that, Percy, we did not face those kind of challenges pre-COVID. So I think it is very new that there's now these kind of challenges that exist. I think that it is something that should most likely be addressed at a national level, where the Department of Tourism can take it up with the Department of Transport to see whether they can engage with these various associations, that they not have an impact on tourism and transport operators and have a negative impact on tourism in the country.
Perfect. Thanks, Mohamed. Yeah, as I said earlier, it's a big debate, and yeah, unfortunately, this seems to be coming, and as you can see, Mohamed, it's becoming more and more of an issue. This particular things raise itself 3-4. But being part of the SATA, this is something where SATA would need to take it up with tourism with national government, and take it from there. And Percy's right. Sometimes it's the traffic authorities on the ground who just don't know what the difference in permits are. So it comes down to a little bit of training, and but within government, you've got to work it from your top and filter it down. and take from there. And there is a difference between a taxi permit and a tour operator permit. Two completely different businesses, though applying the same thing, transport. So Stephanie Catherine said exactly what she was trying to drive home on the taxi, so we get that. And then just, I think, looking at the time, we've got here a last question, Mohamed, and this is from Sarah. Speaking from a low level of entry into tourism, she's part of an arts and crafts, just a word of encouragement in terms of understanding that her business is also a very serious business. So I think what Sarah's trying to say, even though she's art and crafts and part of the tourism chain, she's a very small business, but it's a serious business, and you know, it's no different to any other bigger business. Just a word of encouragement from you there.
Look, I think that what makes tourism possible is passion. So you must be passionate about what you do, and your passion is what will show through and be able to win you the right clients and to make you're able to make a success. So I think that passionate about what you do, and then to identify who your clients will be and how you attract them is a big thing.
Oh, perfect. I was going to ask you to make a closing remark, Mohamed, but that was the closing remark. There was a brilliant thing, all about passion. So if I take this thing, it's passion, networking, understanding your markets, training staff, pushing out at it. We're going to have issues. We are going to, we are going to hit obstacles going through it, but it's really pushed through. Being very strategic in how you plan your business. And one of the points that came through very nicely is setting those goals. And I loved how you use the organogram. The organogram at the moment could be one person, and you can say one person making 1,000 Rand. But if I make 4,000 Rand, I employ a second person and build it. So that's all part of what we, when you go through this course, you'll learn about sort of sales and marketing strategies, business strategies, and that'll all be the building blocks. And I love how Mohamed used the organogram of his business. Say, if we achieve this, we achieve more positions. And that's the reality when it really comes down to business, particularly in South Africa. Our biggest goal as entrepreneurs is to build our business. But more important than that is to create jobs, and particularly in South Africa. If we get it right as entrepreneurs and we manage to employ 2, 3, 4, the multiplier effect to the industry or to the country is huge. And really, I mean, and I think the space, and the only space within South Africa, is entrepreneurship, and we do it properly, we do it forward, is going to create. Mohamed, any last sort of conclusion before we close off? There's no questions from the audience, but maybe your last hurrah.
Look, I think that great job for Sigma to do the work that they do. I think that the incubators can benefit a lot from the training that's available. And I think that don't be afraid to ask questions. The only way you're going to move forward is if you get the advice, if you get the expertise, and you prepare to ask questions to get the help so that you can push forward. Learning is a continuous thing, and seeking knowledge is a continuous thing, and learning every aspect of your business is an important thing. Don't ever take the view that you give your finances to an accountant to do. Understand your finances. Make sure you understand what are the drivers within your business that makes it grow. So be on top of everything. And as you learn a new thing, at that point, you're able to introduce more people into your business and train them to be able to do those things. So the journey is interesting, but it's a long journey, and it comes with hard work and a lot of passion. I'll close with that. Fantastic.
Thanks, Mohamed. And as you said, miles of smiles. You put
Fantastic.
the miles in, the smiles will come. So miles.
Fantastic.
But Baba, thank you very much on behalf of
Pleasure.
all of us, just to share your knowledge, your time, and all that kind of stuff. And I hope everybody had a wonderful time. It has really been a wonderful morning spending with you. And I'm sure people are now going to probably walk in the street and see you now. They're going to come up to you and have a chat to you and say, "Oh, I saw you on the thing." So yeah, be prepared for it. Mohamed, thank you very much. Everybody have a great Friday. And thumbs up to everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Mohamed.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Melinda. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.